Drive just 100 miles northeast of Los Angeles, into the desert of California's Antelope Valley, and you'll find the third largest city on the state map. Though you probably wouldn't know it. Welcome to California City, the city that never quite was. Miles of dusty roads and ambition mark what was once intended to be a bustling metropolis of the Golden State. What can you find? Venture into the desert to California City and you'll find the blueprint for an expansive city etched into the sand. The eastern half of the city has miles of unpaved roads intersecting and merging, only to end in empty cul-de-sacs. Here, there are no houses but plenty of street signs with names like Aristotle Drive and Lincoln Boulevard, alongside telephone poles and signs advertising land for sale. What was meant to be? These bare desert roads mark what would have been a suburb for an ambitious desert city. It was to be a carefully planned community housing thousands and attracting tourists and visitors. The city was to home around 400,000 people spread out among a downtown center and 6 satellite suburbs. There would even be a golf course and an artificial lake. To this day, California City remains the third largest city in California by land area. The anti-Los Angeles. The city was pitched by developers to be an alternative and potentially competing city to Los Angeles. Research in the 1950s suggested that Los Angeles was reaching its population ceiling with a post-war population boom for which it was unprepared. New communities, like California City, would need to help pick up the slack. Los Angeles's traffic problem. California City's developers felt that Los Angeles's population and traffic problems were down to piecemeal development, leaving the city unprepared to handle the sudden population influx. California City would avoid the same pitfalls. It would be built for purpose, a sprawling, self-sufficient desert city initially conceived for a population of 400,000. The genesis of California City. California City was born in 1958 when developer Nat Mendelsohn and his California City Development Company bought around 80,000 acres of land in the Kern County desert. Original planning and design for California City took about a year. This included the most minute and specific details, like the types of trees in the park and the colors of road signs. Previous developments. Nat Mendelsohn, California City's chief salesperson, wasn't coming into this project cold. He had a good track record of designing communities. Before taking on California City, Mendelsohn had developed the Arlanza Village neighborhood in Riverside and helped subdivide the desert community Hesperia, just outside Los Angeles. But California City marked a project of a far more ambitious scope than he had ever tackled before. The first challenge development faced was finding water. The development company invested millions in locating water. The heart of the city was initially intended to be on the eastern side, but the aquifer was under the western side. This western hub did eventually develop into California City's population center. This is where Mendelsohn's company paved roads and laid out water infrastructure for housing. Incorporation. California City was incorporated in 1965, with a population of around 600. The mood was one of expectation for a bright future. The incorporation was perhaps more than just a nice piece of pomp and ceremony. By incorporating, the development company could shift financial responsibility for city maintenance to the new city government. At the time of incorporation, California City was already $7.5 million in the hole. Land rush. Financial struggles for a new city still heavily reliant on external funding for infrastructure would be the story of California City's decline. There's a long and complicated history of different companies buying the development, but another big factor in California City's struggles was ultimately a lack of interest. A promised land rush of residents eager to buy lots in California City just never quite materialized. Crowning jewel of California City's development. The greatest achievement in California City's development was probably its Central Park, complete with an artificial lake and waterfall. For the city's opening, 10 gallons of water from New York City's Central Park was ceremonially dropped into the lake. Today, the lake is green with algae, and the waterfall has long since stopped flowing. A perfect visual metaphor for how the city never realized its ambitious promise. California City today. Even if it never quite materialized into the majestic desert metropolis it was envisioned to be and never developed its own economic base to attract widespread migration, California City lives on to this day. Inexpensive housing made California City a popular place to retire, while others found it ideal for working at the nearby Edwards Air Force Base or in neighboring Mojave. Whatever the reasons, more people seem to be calling it home, and California City's population appears to be on the rise. However, it still hasn't reached anywhere near the dizzying heights envisioned 60 years ago.